Hi everybody, welcome to the video about APA style. Now you may be asking yourself, why do I need to know this? Does this really matter? And I am going to try to convince you. I'll give you a few reasons. Maybe you'll be convinced, maybe not. But I want you to know about it so it will help you on your assignments in this class and hopefully some of your other classes as you're working on your master's degree. So APA style is really about professional manners. It's the way we communicate with each other in the education profession. It's a formatting for recognizing others' work and letting people who read your work know that you have backed up your thoughts in a way that other people can understand. So we have manners for all different kinds of things. So to use this word manners may seem a little bit unusual, but we have manners for when we go to a museum. We walk, we talk quietly. We have other manners we use when we go to a Royals game. We yell and cheer, laugh a lot. And we have a set of manners that we use in education, and APA is a part of that expectation. It's really about paying attention to details of the formatting so that you can show respect to the work of others. That's why we're learning about APA style. Now, you may come across a need to use it in some of your other classes for your master's degree, or maybe in the future you're going to do some professional writing where you'll need to know how to use APA style. In this video and for our class, we're focusing on how to make a reference list. And I tell you what, if you can get that down without any mistakes, that is a big accomplishment. We are not going to work on how to cite things within the body of a paper, because we're not doing that in our class, but we're going to work on that reference list. Now, you might be wondering, since this is an education class, do my students need to know this? And probably not, unless you teach high school English and you're having your students write papers. Then you may, but no, you're probably not going to teach APA style to your kindergartners, obviously. But we are going to start teaching kids to give credit to someone else's work. And we can do that. We can start doing that in kindergarten by modeling it with our students and for all age levels of children. So yeah, that does clarify a little bit about our purpose. So I'm going to talk to you about really 3 sources that you can go to for APA style besides this awesome video that I'm going to share with you. You can get the APA style manual. And if you don't have one yet, I would encourage you to get one, especially if you have several graduate classes left to go. You can find used ones online that aren't very expensive. But it's the version that you saw in the first part of this video. It's the 6th edition. Make sure you get that. It's the blue cover. It's a spiral book. Don't get the 5th edition, even though it might be cheaper, because some things have changed and then you'll have your formatting wrong. Okay, if you don't have a book, you can go to the Purdue website for APA style, which I listed on the opening of this video. And it's also known as the OWL, the OWL website. So if you type OWL APA style in a search engine, you'll come to the website. And that is a reputable website that follows the 6th edition of the APA style. So it's a good one to use. I would not go to other websites because you never know for sure if the website creator is someone who is up to date on the 6th edition of APA style. Sometimes people will use citation machines or other APA websites for their assignments. I would not do that. I have seen those come in with mistakes in their APA style. I just don't trust them. I trust you much more than I do a website. The 3rd place, or the lower step that you can go to if you don't have the book and you don't have access to the website, you could go to a professional journal that you know follows the 6th edition APA formatting, such as the Reading Teacher, the Journal of Adolescent and Adult Literacy, Reading Research Quarterly. Go to an article and look at that reference list, and you can find many of the pieces there that you may need for your own citation. But after this video, you're going to be pretty good. You might still need to look some things up, but you're going to be pretty good. Now, here's the things we're going to focus on. We're making a reference list. It's actually called references, not called a bibliography. And it's organized alphabetically. And it's also formatted with an inverse indentation, which basically is the opposite of how we format a paragraph. So in a paragraph, we indent the first line. But in a reference list, for reference, we indent the second line. We leave the first line over to the margin. So I'll show you some examples. So let's start with the book. Notice the details. That's the key here. You may want to watch this video more than once to pick up some of these details. The author's last name comes first with a comma and then only the first initial, not their full first name. Then comes the year set in parentheses with a period after it. The placement of periods are a big deal in APA formatting. They represent a space, and so it's or an end of a certain formatting style. So you want to be sure you notice where those are. After the year comes the title. The title of a book only has the first word capitalized, unless there is a colon, and then the first word after the colon is capitalized, but everything else is not capitalized unless it's a proper noun. So that goes against my grain when I first started working with APA style, because I'm used to capitalizing titles, but you don't. There's a period at the end of the title. Notice the title is in italics. After the title comes the city and state where the publisher is located, which can usually be found at the beginning of the book, somewhere where the copyright date is listed. If the city and state are the same, like New York, New York, you just have to write New York once. But if it's Topeka, Kansas, you'll write Topeka, comma, KS, then the colon, and then the publisher's name. Okay, book citation, pretty straightforward. Let's look at an article citation. Some things are similar, the way we list the author, the placement of the date. Notice where the periods are again. Notice the title of the article only has the first word capitalized and the first word after the colon, or if they were proper nouns, they would be capitalized. Notice that the title of the article is not in italics. We save those italics for the title of the journal. So you have the title of the article, period, then the title of the journal, which all of those words are capitalized, and the title of the journal is in italics, comma after the title, and then we list the edition number and the issue number. And you see that edition number 58, and then parentheses around the issue number with a comma after those parentheses. Now, I'm going to tell you a really tiny part of APA formatting that will set you apart and show that you really know what you're doing. The title of the journal is in italics, but also the edition number is in italics, the 58, but not the issue number. So that is a key thing to notice. That's one of those little details that sets you apart, your knowledge of APA style. So next we have, after the issue number and the comma, we have the page numbers. Notice that there are no letter P's, no PG period, just the numbers there with a period at the end. Now, I want to show you something. Here's that article. I went through the Emporia State Library website to get to this article. I had to put in my user ID and password, but now I have a digital copy of the article. But on my reference list, I still list the information from the print copy. So a digital copy isn't necessarily going to have all of this stuff available to you. But in your reference list, and in mine, I listed the information from the print copy. I cannot go up here and copy this link and put it on my reference list because I found this article in a website that is password protected. So it's locked from everyone to get to unless they have access. The purpose of the reference list, one of them anyway, is so that when other people read your work and see what you looked at, they could find something possibly interesting and go look at it too. Well, they can't do that if you get it from a site that's locked. So they could go to their own school library website and find the article, but they have to have the print information listed in the reference list, not the URL. Now, it's possible that you could go online and find an electronic copy of this article. Somebody has scanned it, made it into a PDF, put it out there on the internet. And that technically is still not acceptable in a reference list unless it is an article that's only available online. You still should use the print information in your reference list for an article unless it's only published online. Then you can use that URL. Okay, let's keep going. We're going to now talk about websites, which are a little bit tricky because websites don't often have an author. So I went to this website, Wonderopolis, which is a really cool website, especially for kids. Has a lot of good articles that you can use for inquiry. I typed in the search box, what is a prairie? Or prairie, I guess, and I got this, what is a prairie? Now notice in the article, there's no author listed. So I can't very well list that on my reference list. So I use the website host where the author's name would be. There's also no date for that article. So I use N period, D period in parentheses. Now, it looks like there's a little space there before that period. I don't know if that's just my eyes. There should not be a space there if it looks like there is one. Next, I have the title of the article on the website. I don't have to list Wonderopolis again because I already listed it there at the beginning. I list retrieved from and then the URL. Now, notice right here, retrieved from is the correct APA 6th edition way to list a website. 5th edition had you include the date. So if you see that included, you'll know it's from the 5th edition. 6th edition does not expect the date. And notice there's a period at the end of the URL. No italics on the website citation. Now, how are you supposed to remember all this? You're not. You have to go back and look again. That's why you need that book or the website or this great helpful video, right? Okay, here we go. Blog post citation. You might find some cool information from one of your projects on a blog post. So I'll show you the blog post that I started with. It is on the blog called The Prairie Ecologist. So that's the title of the blog. Here's the title of the post. There I can find the date and there I can find the author's name. So I go back to my reference list. I list the author's last name, initial. Notice how I wrote the date for a blog post. This is the format that you'll use for anything that is published regularly. So it could be a newspaper article, magazine article, blog post, and the year is first, comma, month, date, and then the title of the blog post, and then the title of the blog itself. That is capitalized. The title of the blog is capitalized, just like a journal title, but not the article. The article is not capitalized. So the blog post is capitalized and then retrieved from and the URL. Okay, let's keep going. 2 more. Citing an image, and this is the trickiest one. I'll show you what I did, but you may have to finagle things a little bit on this one because it's tricky. So first I went to Google Images, which a lot of people do to find an image. I typed prairie dog. I picked out an image. Now, I cannot stop right here and use this to cite my image because that is not where the image is from. And a lot of times people will they'll take that Google image link and try to use it, but you cannot. I have to go here to where it says visit page. And when I do, I get to National Geographic for Kids, which also it's a good website to use with children. It has a lot of good articles. And here's my image. Now, my prairie dog image is a part of a collection here. And there's no credit given to a photographer on these images. If there were, I would use that person's name on the reference list, but there isn't. So I go with National Geographic. There's no date. Title of the image is prairie dog, which I found on the website, retrieved from, and there's the URL. Now, if you can get the photographer's name, it's going to go right here. And if I had the person's name, then here after prairie dog, I would put National Geographic. But since I don't have that information, I'm given the best that I can, and sometimes that's what we have to do with images. Okay, here's our last one. Let's say you found a cool video that you want to use as part of your project, and so you need to cite it. So I found the video, I'll show you here, went to YouTube, found this video, and I had to go all the way to the end of the video to see who created it. Hopefully, you might be able to find it at the beginning, at the end, and you can then look here, and I found the title of the video, so I need all of that good stuff in my reference list, and I found the date that it was published. So I'm going to capture that stuff, include the creator's name, the date, just like we did with the blog post, and then the title of the video. Now, here's something new. APA 6th edition wants us to include this phrase, this phrase video file. And you see it is set apart with brackets, retrieve from, and then the URL. Okay, there you go. You have what you need to create that great reference list for your projects. If you have any questions though, don't hesitate to ask.